Welcome everyone to the first ever Monday match analysis. I'm Gill. This is going to look pretty close to what you're used to seeing out of me with tennis analysis videos. I'll go a little bit more in depth and use some visuals to help us out here. But for the most part, it's going to be the same. However, as we move along here, you're going to start to see some changes, which I'm very excited about. But no time to get into that now because we have a match to break down. John Isner and Sasha Zverev, the Miami Open final. Isner took it 6-7, 6-4, 6-4. John Isner's first Masters 1000s title, which I'm very happy for him. When you're 32 years old, you don't take this stuff for granted. And we'll get more into his age a little bit later. But for now, just so you realize where I stand on this match, before I get into some more technicalities, I'd be pretty upset if I were Sasha Zverev, if I were a Sasha Zverev fan. Not necessarily that he lost, but that he lost 6-4, 6-4 in the final two sets. You know, he didn't. It would have been more understandable if maybe they were tie breaks that he lost. But to lose the last two sets 6-4, 6-4 with the way Isner was playing, I think that Zverev probably should have done a little bit better than that. I think that Isner, while he's still playing great, played much better against Del Potro in the semifinal on Friday than he did against Zverev in the final. So let's get into what I felt like was the key to the match, and that is Zverev's tactics, his patterns, okay? And I'm going to pull this up for you. This is Isner's shot breakdown against Zverev. 28% normal forehands, 37% runaround forehands, which is a forehand when Isner's standing in the ad court, and 35% backhands. So it's pretty clear to me, based on how many of Zverev's balls were directed to the ad court, that what Zverev was trying to do here was get it to Isner's backhand, which is by far a less scary shot when compared with his forehand. He was trying to get Isner to hit backhands, and he failed miserably. Isner hit 65% forehands. Now, I think that 65% is the number that Zverev was trying to get down, get as low as possible, and clearly that didn't happen. Now, as you can see, I bolded and underlined 37% runaround forehands by Isner. In my opinion, that is the number that Zverev should have been looking to get as low as possible. That is the problematic number here. Because when Isner is hitting runaround forehands, there's three problems. One, it's a forehand and not a backhand. Two, it's his favorite forehand, or it has the potential to be his favorite forehand. Isner loves the inside-out forehand. It's his favorite shot. Three, it puts him in a great position to hit the next shot as another forehand. Check this out. Isner hits an inside-out forehand, which leads to this backhand by Zverev. You can see where Isner is positioned on the court. You can see where he's split-stepping. Zverev pretty much, especially in the third set, late in the second, refused to hit a backhand down the line. So Isner could anticipate this backhand cross-court. He would split-step well into the ad court consistently, and Zverev would still hit this backhand cross-court. Isner waits for it, and he sets up here. Right now, Zverev's in a terrible position, and you can take a look at the score. It's 4-all, advantage Isner on Zverev's serve. This would be the break, the biggest break of the match that would allow Isner to serve out the set. On this shot, Isner hit an inside-out forehand winner, and that's what ultimately got him the break. So Zverev's his refusal to hit the backhand down the line was one of the more infuriating tactical, I don't know if it was a decision, if it was subconscious, if it was conscious, if it was a matter of not being comfortable with the shot. I don't think that was it. I mean, when you're as talented as Zverev, I'm pretty sure you can hit a backhand down the line, but Zverev just wasn't hitting it. It was awful. It was an awful, awful mistake. Isner's backhand was pretty solid even when he got to it. But ultimately, when Isner is returning, okay, when Isner's serving, it's going to be hard to get it away from that forehand. It requires you to make a pretty good return. But at least on the return game, you need to be able to open up the backhand side by getting John Isner on the run to his forehand wing. I talked about Del Potro and Federer's pattern conundrum, and how in order to open up the backhand wing against Del Potro, you need to allow him to hit his running forehand, which is such a great shot. With Isner, it's not nearly the shot that it is in Del Potro's case, and Isner is not fast enough to be split-stepping in the ad court. You see, like, a lot of the quicker Spanish players, like Ferrer and Nadal, will serve it, or basically just in general, they will split step, they will cheat to their backhand side. The thing is, if you go down the line, if you attack that forehand side, they are so fast that they can recover, they can make up for that lost ground. That's not the case for Isner. How can you let a guy like John Isner, who doesn't have the best foot speed, to be split stepping consistently in the ad court and let him get away with that? Awful tactics and point construction on the part of Zverev. And I'm sorry to come down so hard on him, I guess. I don't know if I really should be apologizing. I don't think he'll be watching the video. But it just didn't make any sense. It was really, really bad. And then, of course, the errors. That's what he talked about. After the match, he said that he had a good tactic, a good strategy. I would beg to differ. I don't know why he just couldn't. I don't know why he refused to hit the backhand down the line. But he was basically kicking himself over the errors. Yes, he made a lot of errors. He needs to be more consistent in general. I just feel like it's not at the elite level, his consistency. And then in the third set, there was also a lot of passivity on Zverev's part. A lot of nothing balls, no purpose. And Isner is going to hit with a lot of purpose. His purpose is to attack, attack, attack. He refuses to trade right now, which is so important. Let's get into a lot of the things that John Isner did well, and that's one of them. But let's start with the most basic thing you can say about Isner right now is how clean he's striking the ball. It begins and ends with how clean he's striking the ball, to be honest. Everything else I'm about to say is peripheral stuff. But John Isner, especially on the return, I've never seen him hit the ball cleaner. Unbelievable. 32 years of age, which is just incredible. Now, we're starting to see this sometimes. We see it with Federer, but I actually prefer some other examples, not Federer, because Federer was great at 19 as well. So forget Federer for a second. Guy like David Ferrer, guy like Julian Benneteau, who didn't quite get to the height that Isner has gotten to, number 9 overall right now, which is tied for his career best. Then even a guy like Gill, we saw his Wimbledon run. He's also 35 years of age. So we're starting to see that it is possible for someone to play their best tennis ever in their career at 32 years of age, which is pretty cool. I don't know how John Isner is striking the ball so clean. I have some ideas though. On the return, his split step is something definitely to take note of, because in the past, what we've seen is John Isner's return at the moment of contact, at the moment his opponent contacts the ball on the serve, John Isner's feet are in the air, which is logically a big problem. It just doesn't make any sense. Because you obviously can't move to the ball if you're in the air. He seemed to get rid of that habit and eliminate that. And I think a lot of young players have a tendency to do that, by the way, and it's pretty bad. John Isner has seemed to shore that up. He doesn't jump as high anymore. His split step, it's a little bit more subtle, a little bit less energy exertion involved as well. So that might be something we've seen on the return. And then on the forehand, I feel like his energy, the energy distribution on his forehand is less up and more out. It used to be more up, less out. What I mean by that is I feel like when Isner hit his forehand, there was just a lot of energy going skyward, like you see, with Nadal's forehand. A lot of focus on getting those revolutions on the ball, which is fine. It's all fine and dandy, but it's good to see him flatten it out and get his body weight moving forward into the court like he does better than anyone else in the world on his serve. He didn't do that so well on his forehand. And it was funny, the few times I saw him on his heels, moving back and then hitting forehands and kind of exerting energy backwards or up, I saw him shank a ball and hit it a lot less clean. So I feel like Isner's really getting his body weight moving forward into the court on his forehand, flattening it out more often, and that's really helping him on his forehand. And that all ties into how well or how clean he's striking the ball. Refusing to trade on return games. This is just a mentality thing. Here was the book on Isner, or I think probably one of the best books on Isner is, it's going to be hard to break him, yes, but you can completely wear him down physically by just digging into his, basically, when he's returning, when you're serving against Isner, make him play long rallies, make him grind it out, and you can really wear him down physically because his endurance isn't there and will never be there. He's just not blessed with great endurance at 6'10". You saw him exhausted in this match at the end of the first set, middle of the second set, and then a little bit middle of the third set where Isner looked exhausted. You can really break him down physically on your service games against him. But right now, Isner is refusing to work hard on his return games, which is so big. The first thing is just a mentality of attack, attack, attack on the return, which he's doing very, very well right now, and anytime he gets a forehand, it's full-out attack. Refuse to trade. Do not trade. You will lose that battle 10 out of 10. Not 10 out of 10. 7 out of 10 times. If you're John Isner, you will lose the battle. Take the trade out of your game. Only attack. And that's what Isner's doing really, really well. I don't recommend it for 90% of players, but for Isner, who just can't exert the kind of energy and will lose anyway, if he gets into long rallies, if he gets into rallies in which he is trying to trade with his opponent, he's going to lose. He's going to get broken down physically, and he's just not doing that anymore, at least right now. I want to kind of qualify what I'm saying with the fact that, Isner had an awful start to 2018. So everything that I'm saying he's doing well right now, I really mean just, I guess the last, this tournament, I don't know. I don't know what he did in Indian Wells. I really don't. I'm not sure. I didn't look. But I guess just what I've seen from him in his last couple matches. And then I guess the last thing is that ties into the energy conservation is the Pete Sampras strategy, which he's doing really, really well right now. I've seen him do it before, but in this match he did it really well. In the beginning of the set, make sure you're only exerting energy on your return games on the first 2 or 3 points. If you don't get out to a lead, if you don't get out to 15-30, love 30, stop. It's not stop trying, but don't play long points. Refuse to play long points. That way you have full energy for your service games, so you can maintain 100% focus on holding, and also you're not going to get worn down physically. So not only is he generally playing more offensively and generally playing with a more aggressive court position, refusing to trade on his forehand, he's also learning to kind of let go of return games if he doesn't get out to a lead. He's learning how to lock in a little bit later in the sets, right? I think both breaks came at 4-all. I know for a fact the second set break came at 4-all, and the third set break also came at 4-all. So that says something about when Isner gets ready to sort of, use all of his energy. It's at the end of sets. It's when he gets out into a lead on return games, and that's very, very good because he just doesn't have the physical endurance and the fitness to do a lot of running in a match, period. And I think that's why we haven't seen him make a very deep run into any of the majors, particularly the U.S. Open, because we've seen him play well in the U.S. Open series leading up to the U.S. Open, and then the furthest he's gotten in the U.S. Open is the round of 16, lost in straight sets to Roger Federer when he got there. So Isner, maybe the 5-set format will never enable him to make a deep run into a major like he did here at Miami, but maybe if he can continue to conserve energy like he did in Miami by going after his forehand full-out attack, by using the Pete Sampras energy conservation strategy, and obviously continuing to serve big and hit the ball as clean as he hit the ball here in Miami, then maybe he can make a deep run in a major similar to what we just saw. And I think that's all I got. Let me just check my notes one more time, and then I guess I'll talk about... Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. So this was the first episode of Monday Match analysis. I'm going to basically break down a match every Monday, and news. If there's any news, I'll talk news, and I'll also do some technical breakdowns. This is going to start to look different, more like a show, less like a video, and I'll start to really work on this right now. I apologize for the picture. I don't even know if you guys noticed this stuff, but this isn't my regular camera. This is my webcam. My camera broke. All this stuff I will be working on, and I'm very, very excited to get this going. I'll be releasing a video either later today or tomorrow talking about the future of this channel and talking about why I got into YouTube and kind of going through all that history and some advice for YouTubers as well. So stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.